This is Jennifer Roach for Wow Embossing Powders, and today I'm going to show you how to create a double embossed background using embossing powder and a dry embossing folder. And also we're going to create a custom doily, which we have also embossed with our Wow embossing powders that we'll use on our finished card. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with just a store-bought doily. Now, adding embossing to some simple items can just really add that nice touch of color to your project. So what we're going to do is we're going to take Versamark ink, and I do keep an older pad for doing things such as this so that you don't get all of the extra powder and the color when you are using it just for regular embossing with stamping. So I'm just going to twirl my doily around, and we're going to apply the Versamark to the outside of the doily. Now I think I'm going to do a birthday themed card today. So I've chosen the Susie West Sour Lemon embossing powder and the Cotton Candy Blue embossing powder. So for the doily, we're going to emboss it in yellow. It's going to be a nice cheery embellishment for our card. And all I do is I take the embossing powder from the jar and I apply it around the outside of the doily. And I'm just collecting all of the extra embossing powder on a piece of scrap paper. And then you probably will have to go around the edges just to add a little bit of extra so that you have a uniform coverage. Okay, we're just going to set that aside. And the nice thing about the Wow embossing powder, it's fairly static free, so you can return all of the embossing powder back to the jar when you're finished and reuse the scrap of paper for your next embossing. So just going to take this and we're going to heat emboss so that we don't get powder all over our work surface. So as you can see, we've now created a custom yellow doily for our project. I also have here, earlier today, I used the Susie West Bubblegum color and we created a pink doily. And I also used the Susie West Earth Tone Pepper to create a nice brown doily. So we will create a finished card with one of those. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is how to create a double embossed background using an embossing folder. What you're going to do is you're going to determine which side of the embossing folder is the flattest without the raised surface. To the flat surface of the embossing folder, for the Cuttlebug, typically it's the one that has the writing on it, just as a hint, but I do have other brands where it's actually the opposite, so you just have to find the flattest side. And also you're probably going to want to work with a embossing folder that has not too much detail, because otherwise you won't have a whole lot of embossing on your background. So you're going to take the folder and apply Versamark ink all over the entire surface of it. You want a very good coverage. You can use a brayer as well, but I like kind of if it's not quite covered, you do get more of a vintage look. You're going to put your sheet of paper in there. Okay, I'm going to focus on it. We're going to run this through our Cuttlebug quickly. Okay, you're going to remove the folder, and now what you'll have, if you look very closely, you won't be able to see it on the video, you will actually see that you can see your embossing ink on the debossed part of the folder. So now I'm going to take my Cotton Candy embossing powder and I'm going to cover the entire background. You can also empty your embossing powders into a dish and sort of dip them in there, but this is the method that I find the most effective. And you're just going to shake that around to get the whole surface covered nicely. And you can go back and add. We're going to trim this so it doesn't matter if we have a little bit, if we're missing some powder on the edges. Now, if you happen to get embossing powder in the raised surface, you can actually use a brush and take it out, but I do like that kind of grungy look that you get. So again, I'm just going to dump my powder back into the container. And then we're going to heat emboss this. Just going to hold the corner. And there we go. So as you can see, we've created now an embossed background. And this will be the base for our card. I'm just going to show you a couple other ones that I created earlier. I used the Tim Holtz Sizzix wood grain folder and the Susie West earth tone pepper embossing powder to create this nice piece of faux wood. As you can see, you can also go back with some Ranger Distress ink or any other inks and apply it over top in order to get rid of a little bit of the stark white background, or you could emboss on any color cardstock actually. And then here's a pear theme one that I created. For this one I used the Susie West earth tone olive to create a nice pear themed background. And there we have it. So today I've showed you how to create some embossed backgrounds and some custom doilies for your card.